Welcome to the second day of the session ICOM Malaysia, Pakistan and Turkey. This is the Turkey session. I'm very excited and this is the honorable things for me as a coordinator this session. I'm Akın Akyol. I'm from the Ankara HBVU University. I coordinate this session. Everybody's here. We have 7 speakers now, 6 speakers now. We have 2 parts, open session and presentation. For the open session, 2 names share the ICOM-Turkey and ICOM National speech. The first one, the Meliha Yaylalı, and the second one is the Zeynep Gül Ünal. Before that, I want to share some notes about the media restrictions. I can share this meeting video or photos or websites on social media accounts and etc. will be published publicly. I would like to report this as a requirement of the protection of the personal data and in respect of personal preferences. If there are participants among us who do not want their video or voice to the broadcast, they can leave the meeting if they wish. They can continue to participate in the meeting by closing their videos and asking questions through chat part of this session. After this note, we will start this second day session, ICOM session. The first speaker is Meliha Yaylalı, as an executive board member of ICOM-Turkey. I'm very excited your speech. Maybe we will start with you.
Thank you, dear moderator, Professor Akın Akyol. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, dear respected guests, all participants. Welcome to second session hosted by ICOM-Turkey with collaboration of ICOM Pakistan, ICOM Malaysia, and KUMID-Turkey. I'm Meliha Yaylalı. I'm Secretary and Executive Board Member of ICOM-Turkey. On behalf of our Chair of Turkish National Committee of ICOM, Mr. Gökhan Yazgı, and the other members of board, I would like to express our thanks and respect to all collaborating partners and distinguished speakers and all visitors. Today we are together with, as keynote speaker, Professor Zeynep Gül Ünal, member of Turkish National Commission for UNESCO and president of ICOM-Turkey, and Mrs. Sophie Delepierre from ICOM International, Head of Heritage and Protection Department, and dear Emeritus Türk Culture and Tourism expert from Ministry of Culture and Tourism of Turkey, dear Dr. Nadim Omar Tarar from Pakistan, Executive Director, Center for Culture and Development, and dear Professor Mahmut Aydın, member of KUMID, archaeologist from Batman University, and the moderator, Professor Akın Akyol. It's a great honor and pleasure to welcoming you today at this challenging times, coming together and exchange information, share experience at this platform. It's very precious opportunity for us. And today we will talk about prevention of illicit trade of cultural objects on the occasion of 50th anniversary UNESCO 1970 Convention. We have good news today. Our cultural heritage has returned to Turkey newly. Dear Meriç Türker will mention about this returning process. And thank you again for your participation. I wish a successful and informative, productive session. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for your presentations as a welcome note. As a keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Zeynep Gül Ünal as a Turkish National Commission for UNESCO and member of Tangible Cultural Heritage Committee. It's your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Akyol, Secretary General of ICOM-Turkey, for a nice presentation.
Thank you.
Dear colleagues, it's great pleasure to be in here on the second day of International Virtual Conference on Museums. As you know, I was with you yesterday at the opening day representing ICORP as an NGO. Today, I salute you on behalf of UNESCO Turkey National Committee. And when I look at today's presentations and presenters, we see our power bring together unique mixture of people and experience from government, academia, and NGO. How much for the soul of a nation? And what is the real price of art? These questions, are not the questions actually. These are the headlines of the International UNESCO campaign, revealing the hidden face of art trafficking campaign. As you know, the 2020 is the 15th anniversary of the 1970 UNESCO Convention on the means of prohibiting and preventing the illicit import, export, transfer of ownership of cultural property, and which was adopted by UNESCO, who took one of the most important tasks to prevent illicit trafficking of antiquities as a tool to perform this task. As we all know that the 1970 convention emerged as a result of the need of taking a measure to prevent illicit trafficking of antiquities. The significance of the convention is that being the first multilateral convention for the protection of cultural property during the peacetime. For over 50 years, UNESCO has developed a legal reference to fight against the illicit trafficking of cultural property throughout the convention, which offers a common framework to state parties to the measures to be taken to prohibit and prevent the import, export, and transfer of illicit cultural property. On the occasion of the 15th anniversary of the 1970 convention, UNESCO now is launching an international communication campaign, The True Piece of Art, and you can follow from the UNESCO official website. In the press and the social networks, this campaign aimed to raise the general public's awareness, not the experts, of course, of the disastrous consequences of this trafficking. Actually, these decennial anniversaries offer us a good opportunity to assess the current situation from the past to the present. If we are to make a comparison between the time when the convention was committed to paper and today, we see, although the words remain the same, the concept now define a different facts. Today, the nature of environments that make illicit trafficking of antiquities convenient and the definitions of the parties have changed. The operating system of the actors that form the supply and demand ends have developed negatively to the industrial scale. Beyond art theft, the situation has become the main financial source for global terrorism. In this new environment, as organizations that are custodians of culture, our duty is, while remaining through the spirit of the 1970 convention, to combine the richness of 50 years of experience and knowledge with the requirements of new era and put them into practice with the power of interinstitutional cooperations. Because we all know that the true value of art is always defined by the same word, priceless and irreplaceable. I wish you a fruitful conference. Thank you very much once more for invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. This kind of speech is a keynote. Thank you. Yeah, we will start our second session. First speaker, Sophie Delapierre. She is head of the Heritage Protection and Capacity Building Department and ICOM International, Paris, France. Yeah, it's your time. In Zoom, multiple share is okay. You can share if you have a presentation.
Yes.
Yourself? Yeah.
Thank you very much, dear professor. Yes, I have a PowerPoint to share. Just a minute. You hear me okay?
Okay.
Okay.
There is no problem?
For the screen, it's here.
Okay. That's okay.
So, excellent. Teşekkür ederim to for the kind invitation, and thank you also to other national committee who gather with you to propose the several webinars that are all of great interest. I mean, also for disaster risk management and sustainability, they are great topic. But as of today, I will focus my speech on illicit trade because it was what has been asked to me. So I will not come back to the huge network of ICOM because you are an extremely important part of it. But still, it's important to show that ICOM is only as a through its national committees, and for us is really the source of all our work. So as you know, also in ICOM, we have several activities. If today I will really focus on illicit traffic, you have to know, and you know that we are also publishing a lot. We are doing capacity building activities. We are raising awareness on topics related to museum, and we are also defining standards. So it's really important to show that the globality of our work, and in the same times, to show how we will, all this kind of tool have all a nice meaning when we are speaking about the illicit trafficking of cultural goods, and especially the fight to it. So let's start immediately on this topic. And my short presentation today will be around four, I would say, the main tools that I have inside my department to show and to prove of ICOM community is working on it since decades. Professor Gül Ünal just a few seconds ago gave us the framework of the legal international cooperation with the 1970 conventions. It's so many decades, but in fact in ICOM, in the same times, in the last 50 years, we also accompany UNESCO and other international organizations on this topic with the specific eyes of the museum community. So first of all, a few words really on the code of ethics, because sometimes when we are speaking about the tools developed by ICOM, we forget that also the ethical rules developed through the very known code of ethics have a specific focus on this question of illicit trade. So you know that the ICOM Code of Ethics group standards, but inside it's really interesting to see that some principles or rules are really have an important meaning when we are speaking about illicit trafficking. For example, there are specific rules regarding protection and security, which is also part of the fight. You have also, and that's really here a really interesting meaning, it's about the acquisition of collection. We know that this is still a problem in some museums, the question of acquisition. And it's important to stress that in ICOM, we are clearly showing that there are rules when we acquire a collection. We need a valid title. We need to check provenance. We have a duty of due diligence, and that is written in the Code of Ethics since the 80s. And it's discussed among members of ICOM. I have some archives since the 70s, show you that since the beginning with UNESCO and others, we are speaking about this problematic of provenance. For me, it's really important. Of course, I will speak about red list, but ethical rules within the ICOM community, it's really also a strong basis. So also to be open to dialogue about return and restitution, they are also in the Code of Ethics. And of course, we are showing that, as the professor just said before, we have a legal framework, like a strong basic foundation on where the organization are constructing the cooperation. But the legal framework, the ratification and implementation by the state is still the base of our work. So I don't go further on the code of ethics. You know it, you know where to find it.
Uluslararası bir şeymiş bu ya.
So I will just now move to the tools. First tool that I also like to recall is the object ID. Why? Because every time we have an emergency, we have a capacity building, every time where we are speaking about illicit traffic, the word inventory is coming in the conversation. You know, you are the professional of museum, not me. And you know that a main part, a big part of the work of a curator is also to take care about the inventory, make sure they are done first, but also to have enough copies in different space, because when you have an emergency, it's important to back to this document. When I'm speaking to the police about a theft, for example, it's the first things they ask is the inventory and access to picture and data. That will be always and always an important point, inventory, when we speak about fight illicit trafficking. So that's why I'm recalling this basic tool, but still an important standard when you are speaking about documentation. It's the object ID, and it's still promoted by ICOM. Of course, this is a basic tool, and we can go to the large possibilities of documentation with, for example, CDOC, which is the International Committee on Documentation that you know, and who is also proposing to all museum community a vast possibilities of tools, just like digitization and CRM standard and this kind of thing. So from the basic object ID to the really technical, most recent technological tools, we have a range of tools to give to ICOM members. So it's important also to say. Third instrument, it's maybe one of the most recent, is the observatory, which is a website that you have the link here, or you can put in Google International Observatory ICOM and you arrive on it. It's a platform working like a database when you can find thousands of sources regarding the fight against illicit traffic. It can be articles, it can be laws, it can be contact experts, it can be a lot of things. ICOM is still thinking about how to improve it, but it's important to name it. And I will not further because I don't have time, but if you want, you just click on it and you will hear on the left all the menu, and you can check, for example, if you want to have some case studies, or if you want to know good practices, for example, about, I don't know, due diligence of provenance, you can find there. Last but not least, maybe one of the most renowned a tool of ICOM, they are the so-called red list. I have one or two exemplars behind me, and I think that this tool is promoted since 2000, and for 20 years we made this kind of list for countries or region where there is a specific risk on object. There are some criteria, and then again I could do hours of presentation, but I will really go to the main point, which are that it's important that to show the criteria for them, and also to say that the object in the red list are not stolen. That's not stolen object. Is only kind of object that show which kind of other object that can be illicit trafficked. We need a demand on the market, we need to see it, and then with the country or the region, we are working to give some illustrative example of what kind of objects are on the market. For example, on the Egyptian I have in my back, we have a sort of ushepti. We have thousands and thousands of ushepti, but in the list we have one which is in a museum, we know where it is, but we want to show that a policeman in Argentina or in Belgium, when I'm coming from, or in China, we want to say to them, for example, if you see this kind of object, please be careful, because in Egypt, this kind of object is protected by law, it's vulnerable, and it's on demand on the market. So if you see it, you policeman, you can ring the bell, because it will have a future for this object if it's not correctly documented. So that's why we are doing this kind of tools, because of course it's good that the 1970 convention said to the country, be careful to your custom, to your police, but if you don't help them to tell which kind of object is on the risk, then it's kind of complicated to know about the artistry of everywhere in the world. So these red lists are helping people who are dealing with the circulation to know what is protected and in danger. It's not the only object. I always say there is no, it's not the only tool, sorry, but it's part of all the other tools. With the Interpol database on stolen objects, with the convention, then you have also the red list. It's like a part of a global cooperation. So it can be used for a different type of person. That are the last one. We have already 17 red lists. We are now working on the 18th one on the Southeast Europe. We are working with our partners like UNESCO et UNIDROIT for the convention, and Interpol and World Customs Organization for the law enforcement part. And I will just finish here because I want that everybody has the time to speak, but also to tell you that during this pandemic, which has touched everybody in the world, ICOM made a lot of things. We made studies, we made recommendations, we organized a webinar as you today, just to help to understand at the global level what happened for the museum. We have to know that 95% of museums in the world closed. And how can we help here from the International Secretariat? We can help our national committee. And I just want to stress one point, which are the recommendation we made on security, because this may be the one who is the closest to our topic today. And because we saw that sometimes the fact that the museum has to close so quickly, they had to maybe some little problem of security. So this kind of recommendation we made with Interpol already in April. So at the very beginning, we wanted to say to them, hey, there are tips for you. We know that you are in a difficult situation, your museum, you have to close. So here are some tips for digital, for conservation, but also for security. And they are really basic, but they can help them to have some ideas or come out to find a situation, a solution to this really specific situation. So I stop here for today. Even I'm happy to answer to any question you have. Thank you again for inviting us, ICOM Secretariat. And if you have any question, you have my email. And I'm really happy that this kind of topic like today is still, it's continued to be speak at national level with the help of the National Committee. So thank you very much for your involvement to that and for your dedication. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the very informative presentation. Thank you, Sophie Delafie. The next speaker is Meriç Türker Öztürk. He is a member of ICOM-Turkey and culture and tourism expert at Combating Illicit Trafficking Department, General Directorate for Cultural Assets and Museum, Ministry of Culture and Tourism of Turkey, Ankara. Yes, it's your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you hear me well?
Of course, there is no problem.
Okay, thank you very much for the organizers convening this wonderful meeting. And I would like to share my screen first. Okay. Okay, can you see my PowerPoint?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Once again, as Meliha said a while ago, I won't be speaking particularly on the recent return case, the Kibeles statue, but I will try to give you an overall information about what we are doing in combating illicit trafficking as the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. The fight against illicit trafficking has been consolidated in worldwide since the UNESCO 1970 Convention, which urged state parties to take measures to prohibit and prevent the illicit import, export, and transfer of cultural property. We are celebrating the 15th anniversary of the convention. I hope the future will bring more cooperation among the state parties and further understanding of the importance of the fight against illicit trafficking. As is well known, Turkey is one of the most archaeologically and culturally abundant countries across the world. Thousands of hectares of soil are literally full of cultural remnants of ancient civilizations. Therefore, safeguarding this huge legacy with such an incredible scale is really an important matter. Turkey suffers very much from clandestine excavations, which make the identification of looted objects very difficult and the provenance hard to find. Turkey has long been tracing its cultural property in illegal art market. Despite the obstacles, we insistently fight for our cultural heritage. Here I want to speak briefly about the legislative framework in Turkey. Turkey has a long history, as you know, of protecting its cultural property. Following earlier preliminary attempts, the Ottoman government declared a legislation in 1906, which basically stands as the starting point for many respects. It is considered as the first national law that strictly and clearly banned the removal of archaeological objects outside of the country. Since then, unauthorized excavations were prohibited under national law. Today, the legislative frame is firmer. Illegally exporting cultural property from Turkey is a crime that required punishment. Moreover, failure to notify state authorities of even accidental findings is being sanctioned. So this brings me to the next step in our overall national struggle against illicit trafficking. So I want to mention our preventative measures. Of course, it's very important to take action before illegal activity happens. And we, in cooperation with our competent governmental organizations, such as the ones you see on the screen, the Ministry of Interior Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Justice, and Ministry of Trade, we are conducting these precautionary actions. Inventorying has a top priority among these. So Sophie was mentioning about the importance of inventories a while ago. So we pay very much attention to the studies concerning inventorying because you have to know first what you actually have. Then security precautions come along. We have guards and we use security cameras or alarm systems to protect the areas against illicit excavations or to protect the museums against theft. Once our units are informed about any alerting situation, we immediately get in touch with our museum professionals as well as scholars to receive technical support. And during these processes, of course, all details are discussed with our public prosecutors and the law enforcement units before taking initial step. Last but not least, awareness raising activities have to be underlined. First, we have to convince our own people that the cultural heritage is required. So for that, educational and informative activities are fundamental. We are trying to conduct socially targeted local and national training programs to raise awareness among public decision makers, law enforcement agents, the art markets, and the general public on the illicit trade of cultural property and its destructive consequences. Here in a more organized manner, I tried to list what we basically do, actually. And I want to read from the screen. So we are evaluating information about illicit excavations and traffic coming through all around the country and coordinating the relevant institutions, monitoring the main auction houses and museums websites from all over the world, reviewing the court decisions and taking action if it is necessary, maintaining negotiations about return and restitution issues with the holders of collections, which include illicitly exported or stolen cultural property, making announcements for stolen artifacts of state museums and private collections, planning return and restitution cases of Turkey, following recent return cases of other source countries, and organizing local and national training programs. We pay very much attention to international cooperation. For that, we are in contact with experts in international organizations such as UNESCO, Interpol, World Customs Organization, etc., and law enforcement units of countries. And thus, we receive help to identify and locate objects abroad. And then we discuss our claims for their returns. There might also be joint prosecutions or police operations. And we develop bilateral agreements or act certainly in line with international conventions. As a result of our efforts so far, we succeeded to return many of our cultural property back to Turkey. In last 2 decades, thousands of artifacts were returned. We engaged in lots of cases in which cultural property of Turkish origin have been found in state or private museums or collections, in auctions, or have been seized at customs or subject of prosecutions abroad. The most preferred way to enable the return of illegally removed objects is bilateral negotiations. During these negotiations, we also refer to ICOM's Code of Ethics, and particularly the articles on provenance and due diligence, as Sophie has just mentioned. And our experts are searching for any evidence in any country that they noticed in their extensive inquiries. And I want to show you our latest return. It just arrived last night. This is a wonderful piece coming from the United States. Turkey has taken various measures to halt illegal trafficking of cultural artifacts, not only within its territories, but also in its neighboring region. When the Syrian civil war began, it was the cultural heritage of Syria much suffered from destruction and illicit trafficking. Turkey immediately responded to the circumstances in its neighbor by making announcements to all Turkish museums, including private museums and collectors, about the cultural artifacts that might be looted from Syria or Iraq. In various international occasions, Turkey has declared its intentions toward looted heritage. For this, we already expressed that we are keeping the Syrian origin objects at our museums to be returned to Syria when the war is over. Turkey's efforts for protecting any object of illegal background may show further its attitude. So far, in various cases, we returned many objects to their country of origin. Recently, in 2019, we returned 81 objects to neighboring Iran and 2 objects to China, as you show on the screen, as you can see on the screen. Recently, we are working on other return issues, and we will announce them, I hope soon. So before ending my presentation, I would like to stress that I find this international cooperation and solidarity very important, because that shows how the source countries and how the source countries stand together against illicit trafficking, and how they are capable, insistent, and successful to find ways for the return of cultural property to countries of origin. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the very valuable information, Mr. Merç Öztürk, about the ICOM-Turkey position for the illicit traffic, illegal traffic. Thank you so much. I can give time for the Inga Karya. I saw as a member of this Zoom media, ICOM Georgia, from ICOM Georgia. If you want, Inga Karya, something about the ICOM Georgia position, please, you can say something about Inga Karya. Yes, maybe later I can give a session minutes, I think, for the Inga Karya. Yes, in our program, it's the time for the Dr. Nadim Omar Tarar time. He will present the prevention of illicit trafficking of antiquities in Pakistan. Yes, please, it's your time.
Yes, thank you very much. I have thoroughly enjoyed the presentation of my colleagues here from Turkey. And I think Pakistan has pretty much, has done the same, and it is moving along the similar lines. And but I'm here speaking as a, if you like, as a sort of independent observer. And I would like to share my thoughts on how to actually prevent illicit trafficking from taking place, how to actually stem it at the roots. Most of these efforts are at the global level, at the bilateral level. But there is a, I would try through my presentation, I would try to explain that there's an enormous pull from the international market, from the market countries, that we cannot really we eventually succumb to it. We have to have all the laws and everything. So that's my sort of crux of my presentation. And then a solution which actually suggests that we probably need to liberalize the domestic trade in antiquities in the country. So it might be a little out of place given the discourse on the ICOM that I am sort of, privy to. So, but I'm offering my 2 pennies here and with this presentation, right?
Thank
you. Now, now, if you, I'm sure you are well aware of the rich cultural, heritage of Pakistan, spanning, the oldest civilization in the world, from Mehergarh to Indus Valley to Kandahar and to the Mughals. So a whole lot of it actually is still buried. And yes, a lot is there in the museum, but a whole lot, especially the ancient history, is still buried around here. Right, and imagine the illegal trafficking, the 10% of the total terror financing in Pakistan, at least in years earlier, in the decades earlier, used to come through illegal antiquity trade. Afghanistan is also presently the hub of illicit trafficking, and we share a very long border with Afghanistan as well. Now, our government capacity, to be honest, is limited, and so are our financial resources. The financial investment towards the preservation of the heritage is pretty, slim. We are always relying on international funding for conservation, and World Bank has been generous and so on. One, as I said before, this actually total of the thousands of sites and monuments that we have, less than 1/4 are protected by the department. So that is the scale of problem that we are looking at. It is not that the museum collection that we need to protect and ensure and make inventory. A whole lot is actually beyond the inventories. I'm sure Turkey has a similar situation as well. And as I said earlier, the span of this heritage civilization is very vast, thousands of years and maybe millions of objects and so on. Now, we do understand, all of us do understand that actually, the real, the illicit trafficking is draining our national resources. And at a time in a situation when 98% of the, percent of the smuggled, the final price of the smuggled item actually goes to the middleman. Only our, people, so to say, for whatever reasons, if they are illegally excavating, they get only this tiny, money out of it, and actually a whole lot is, is profit goes elsewhere. Where does it go? As we all understand, that illicit art trade is second in the world in terms of profitability. That was the, pull factor that I was referring to. It is really a $6 billion, so to say, trade worthwhile, right? It's Interpol figures. Now, who are benefiting? These are the people benefiting. Some of us are benefiting in the museums. And as it was rightly said by Sophie, that yes, acquisition, museums have to be made accountable to how they acquire their artifacts. And if you look at these sort of figures, that every antiquity that has arrived in America in the past 20 years has been broken the laws of the country from it came from, whether it's Met or whatever, all these wealthy museum. And there's a whole lot into it, how these donors get tax incentives, and which actually contribute to the illicit trafficking. So what we are saying is, and this business of auction houses, which is actually steeped in secrecy, right? Just imagine that 5% of all antiquities offered for sale in London auction houses had no published provenance. You can control the museum, but how can you control? Yes, there are ways and mechanisms. I'm not saying that nobody is raising these issues and moving towards that. I'm just trying to, build up the scale of the problem, the complexity of the problem that illicit trafficking involves. Now, further on, of course, I mean, that is the time to celebrate, to acknowledge, to support, to extend these UNESCO convention, which was a first ever attempt, and a lot has been done by UNESCO and ICOM in order to, stem this tide of, the illicit trafficking. And now, as we understand that the interest of the source countries like Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, China, right, and the market countries are conflicting. The market countries really want, through their liberal laws, they want these commodities to be bought and sold freely, whereas we don't want that, right? So UNESCO conventions and the subsequent international legislations have tried to address this problem. In fact, they are considered some kind of, they had, UNESCO is accused by the market countries as having a bias for, artifact-rich nations like source countries like Pakistan and Turkey. So they've been very reluctant to join this UNESCO convention. I figured out that England joined in only 2002, Germany 2007, Switzerland and France likewise. I don't know about, I'm not sure about France, but the rest of them are definitely there. So they are slow to join because of their own corporate interests, their own market philosophy, right? Now, what we have done probably pretty much what Turkey has done. And we have, as I say, we have this blanket legislation, we nationalize the cultural property, and our antiquity acts in all the provinces and at the federal level are pretty stringent. They are almost draconian laws. But still, despite all of these legal sort of remedies, we have not found the solution to the illicit trafficking. I'm personally witness to the loot and plunder of Gandhara because we are based in Texila. And I know how of this antiquity is right. I mean, people come to me that if you have an international buyer, you'll make millions out of it. And I just say, so no, please, we can't get into this. We are trying to stop it, not promote it. But that is the ease of doing business in Pakistan, that illicit trafficking is ensured. I mean, you buy something from here, you like something, I can show you here, and I can ensure you that this particular thing will be delivered at your doorstep in France, in Germany, in Turkey, wherever you want it. So that is the kind of ease of doing business that we have seen that is actually leading to this illicit trafficking. Now, my 2 pennies are very humbly, I think that and this is being argued elsewhere in the world as well, that we have to admit that we can't stop this illicit trafficking at the national borders because of our weak, porous borders, our custom officials' corruption, and so many other factors. So what do? So to retain the national treasures in Pakistan, a set of progressive legislations and some kind of fresh thinking is needed, and to strike at the root of it, and which is what? That we have to actually develop legitimate domestic market for trading antiquities and then exporting it abroad under state control. Now, this is a very sort of, I would say, ambitious suggestion, but that, in my humble, estimation, is the only sort of honest way forward. Otherwise, we can definitely, console ourselves that we are doing enough and we have done enough, and all these countries are now following in line, and there's a future to go, and don't get into this because yes, fears of UNESCO are there. That, of course, every archaeologist you talk to, he would say it's insane. It is wholly undesirable. It will lead to the wanton destruction of heritage. I mean, I think this is particularly understandable, objection to my suggestion. But what I'm saying is that, for God's sake, there's a complete unchecked plundering of vast number of unprotected sites in the country. Unlike India or unlike in Turkey, we do not have an inventory. I can assure you, even some of the museums do not have a complete inventory with the details of the provenance, right? So what we are saying is, yes, we can hide ourselves, and sort of just pretend that, yes, we can manage illicit trafficking and smuggling. I'm speaking from Pakistan. I can't generalize it to the world. So what we are saying is, as I said earlier, turning this cultural wealth into economic wealth. We really have to actually, kind of, if you get to this idea, then you have to actually plan things very, very carefully. It's not just an either or situation, or you don't sell it or you sell it with no, restraint. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we need to get private sector involved. A state do not have resources. Pakistani state is increasingly under pressure to actually get foreign investments and private sector investment in everything. CPAC is rolling because of the China has the money to invest in Pakistan. So what we are saying is we have to give private sector a legitimate role. We have to have a framework which can bring them in. And there are international conventions which are actually, which would give us the, at least a step forward. So what we are saying is we need to do all of that state auction, led auction within Pakistan. Let the rich people in Pakistan not just invest in their cars and in the real estate, allow them to invest in art, allow them to invest in antiquity. And finally, as I said, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of collectors in Pakistan, and I'm sure elsewhere in the world, who are unregistered, who amass a fortune of these antiquities. I know, as a matter of personal knowledge, many wealthy individuals in Pakistan who have probably bigger collection and better collection than, let's say, Lahore Museum. So that is the kind of, I would say, the kind of wealth the cultural wealth which lies sort of unstructured and sort of unnoticed and unregistered. And then there is a government formal sector which is trying to preserve, and then, if their resources are combined in some ways, so then we'll be able to invest in the preservation of our sites, our museum. We'll have our own money. We can have world-class programs. Art history is not given any attention. It will grow into a absorbing employment-generated field of studies. And so actually, I think Pakistan probably can stand on its own 2 feet if it follows this path. Otherwise, that's our ancient history, and that's how we are dealing with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. In the second day of the ICOM-Turkey presentations, we passed 3 presentations that mentioned about the France, Turkey, and Pakistan illicit trafficking of antiquities. We reach now the last presentation, who Mahmut Aydın speaking. He is the archaeometrist, and this is another part of this kind of artifact analysis as archaeometric studies. Yes, it's your time, Mr. Mahmut Aydın.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akyol. It is honor for me to joining this online conference of ICOM. I will make my presentation screen. Sorry, file basic.
First, you open your file, and then you can share with the green button and choose, and then it's automatically open.
Okay, I will do it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay?
Yeah, we see.
I think.
Okay.
And
You can close this window. Yeah, okay. Right up. It grows. Yes, you can close it.
Not let me, I think. I think this.
We see the presentation. Maybe you can close right up close. Yes, it's not permission. No permission.
If I not let me to close it, sorry.
If you want, you can send me by WhatsApp. I can open with you.
Okay, I am sending you to with WhatsApp and.
Mm-hmm. Today, the second day of the ICOM-Turkey, I can mention about the presentations. First of all, we are very happy today. And tomorrow and the next day, there will be another presentations. You will be a part of this Zoom media. And we are taking part of the very valuable informative presentations. Thank you for all the participants. When the time I'm waiting the Mahmut Aydın's presentation.
I have sent to you, Mr. Akyol.
By WhatsApp or email?
By WhatsApp.
Okay, I'm waiting. Takes a minute. Sorry. I'm opening now. Everything's okay. Yes, it's your time. You can start with your presentation, Mr. Mahmut.
It is okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Akyol. My name is Mahmut Aydın from Batman University, Department of Archaeology and Archaeometry. My subject is importance of archaeometry in prevention forgery and illicit traffic of cultural properties. As you know, there are many ways to fighting with illicit traffic of cultural properties, and we have very powerful gun to combat with illicit traffic of cultural heritage, and one of them is archaeometry. I think, okay, thank you. Of course, all museums fight with authenticity of object. If the question is, it is fake or authentic. Also, British Museum and other museums from the world, for example, the Bible Museum, faced with fake object, and they want to stop the entrance of fake object to their museums. And also from Turkey, we have such problem. I think the slide is not, I have, I cannot change, okay, okay. We also from Turkey, we have such problems. Many fake objects try to enter our museums, and we need to stop them. Of course, always visual inspection is not enough to stop fake object, enters fake object to museum, and we need to use archaeometry. How we can spot forgery of organics and baked clay materials? They are more easier than metals because we have archaeometric techniques like carbon-14, and carbon-14 let us to dating leather, textile, bone, wood, artifacts, and it is more easy to determine their authenticity. And also thermoluminescence let us to date ceramics and baked clay object. So I want to give an example from British Museum. 66 objects, baked clay object, tried to sell to British Museum, and they have been analyzed by Oxford Laboratory, and 48 of them were counterfeit. Another group from Hacılar tried to be sold to British Museum, and only one of them was authentic. 69 of them were fake. Actually, the most difficult one is metal object, because we cannot directly dating them. So mostly forgers, smugglers using fake of metal object, produce fake of metal object and try to sell them to museum. There are two kind of fake objects. First one is very easy to determine by visual inspection to determine their authenticity, but the second one is more difficult, and even experts cannot determine if they are fake or authentic by visual inspection. So in the second group, we need to use archaeometric techniques to determine their authenticity. What kind of techniques we use? Most common one is portable handheld or handheld X-ray fluorescence spectrometer. It lets us to make insight analysis. We can bring the spectrometer to objects. So it is more commonly used in archaeometry, in archaeological research in all the world. And it is called green technology for, I think it is very fast. After analyzing object to determine their forgery, sometimes it is very easy to determine if it is fake or not. We see 4 different coin and their analysis, archaeometric analysis. First of all of them must be silver if they were authentic. But when we check fake one, is made of German silver. It is called German silver and doesn't include any silver. So it is very easy after analyzing it to say that it is fake. Second one should also include more than 90% silver, but when we look analysis result, it made of solder and the result including lead and tin. So in this group also for archaeometrists, it is very easy to say this is fake. Third one including only lead, so it is fake and it is not so difficult to determine their authenticity. But sometimes analysis results also of fake are very close to authentic one. So we need to experts to evaluate the result. For example, fake fork has 95% silver, and we need to compare its result with authentic coins result, because only from minor element we can determine their authenticity. In this case, we use also we use in the this slide we can see port bricks type analysis result of Pertinax and Pescenius Niger's analysis result. When we compare authentic coins and fake coins result, especially minor element from minor element, we can see easily differences of authentic and fake ones. Authentic coins including higher lead, higher tin, bismuth, and it is more colorful because it is purified with ancient technology, and the results are more rich. When we look the minor element of fake coins, because of they produced with modern technology, they including less lead and less including zirconium, because they are produced with today's technology and they don't including many elements. In this also from another Roman emperor Septimius I and his wife Julia Domna's silver coins. When we looking analysis these fake objects including higher than authentic silver, higher than authentic ones, and when we look the minor elements of fakes, you can see how they are less colorful comparing to authentic one, because they are produced with high technology comparing to ancient ones. So we can, by comparing authentic coins and fake coins, archaeometrical analysis result, we can determine, especially from minor element, we can determine their authenticity, and we can stop their entrance to museum. Also, SPSS statistics program help us to make group fake and authentic to decide. Sometimes with naked eyes from analysis result, we cannot determine if they are fake or authentic. But when we look at this group, statistic program SPSS help us to make grouping of them, and according to SPSS result, we can decide more easy to if they are fake or not. This is very good result in terms of fake and authentic. From this, you can see left side of this slide, our analysis result of silver coins of Roman imperial age. They are more colorful because of ancient technology used in their production. They including higher silver, higher platinum, bismuth, lead, higher lead. But this is result of purification, production technology. And right part of the slide, this one fake, with written fake, made of with today technology, and they don't including platinum. You know, platinum is very expensive, and bismuth and tin because of technology differences of ancient and today. Also for gold coin, also we can use same technology as you see here. Authentic coins including higher gold than fake ones. By comparing suspected coins analysis result with fake and authentic ones, we can decide from major and minor element comparison and which is fake or not. Sometimes forgers use authentic object to to produce new ancient new object. From this scan electron microscopy, we can determine if an object new produced or not. How we can determine this? The metals are made by preparing an alloy followed by shaping into the final form. When the hot liquid alloy solidifies, some segregation place resulting in copper-rich phases. Various measurements on such sample surface of newly poured metals therefore show large variation in the copper content. In large time, copper-rich phases of metals diffuse. Its copper and copper percentage become equal in all parts of the silver and gold metals. When we look the authentic metals, this is a silver coins, and these black coins are copper-rich phases. But in time, when 100 years or 1,000 years pass on it, we can see analysis of copper doesn't increase or decrease in all parts of the metals. But on the other side, when we analyze a fake coin, when you pass on the analysis the black point, the copper-rich point, and when you pass on it, you can see copper increases immediately, and this shows this is a new produced metal. When we I need to give some examples. This is an Vespasianus coin from Roman. He's Roman emperor, and this coming from excavation. When we analyze its copper-rich points, we can see 2.7, 2.5, and all part of it. The result didn't change. All all black points, including only very small copper level. When we look the all part of this black points, we can see copper doesn't increase or decrease. It is diffused, spread all in all coin equally. But this is for fake coins, it is increasing immediately because it is very young metal, and when you see analysis result from 2 point in authentic coin, it was 2%, and in fake one it increased to 30 or up to 30 for fake coins, because this show this say for us I am a young metals and I produce new. So scan electron microscopy help us to determine if a metal produced new or not. This is another authentic coins. Again, we analyzed copper 2%, and when we analyze another fake coins, we can see from the analysis result, copper immediately increased, and its result is 41%. The difference is very big. One authentic ones, including approximately 2% copper rich points, and fake one, including up to 40 or 30% copper. So by looking the diffusion of copper in gold or silver one, we can decide if this metal new produced or not. Another problem is prevention of replacement of counterfeit object with authentic object by using archaeometric techniques. How we can get help from archaeometry? First of all, we have listened how to check object ID checklist from Sophie previously. I think for object ID, also chemical composition should be included in the list, because visual of stolen object can be changed. Its weight can change, its visual can change, but chemical composition, they cannot change chemical composition. This helps us more than visual recording. So by determining is the chemical composition of an object from different aspects, and when they stolen or replaced with fake one, we can check if they have been replaced with fake one. And this also, for big object, it is more difficult because from many aspects you need to make analysis and record them, especially from which point you have analyzed, you need to record it, because big metal objects are not homogeneous, so they are heterogeneous. So you need to well record analysis point, and maybe they are also, I think, should be kept in secret places, not published or not delivered to everybody. And after, in case of it, you think the object changed or stolen, this analysis result help you too much. Advantage of recording this, I want to mention 2 points. If the chemical composition of the object is known, it can be understood whether it has been replaced with counterfeit in time. And another its advantage is, if an artifact is stolen, it will be easy to archaeometrically prove whether the found artifact is your stolen artifact, and it can be returned to your country. Because after an object stolen, many of its fake produced and take action in the market, so it is not easy to determine if the found object is yours or not. Another object is how we can prove ownership of stolen object or returning it to homeland by using non-destructive archaeometric techniques. I want to give one example from Turkey, and hippocampus golden winged seahorse was stolen from Uşak Museum, Turkey in 2005 by replacing it with fake one. And Turkish authorities and Interpol have been trying to find it An object thought to be authentic was found in Germany, in the city of Hagen. This study including portable X-ray fluorescence and what kind of strategy we follow to bring it back? Modern gold in jewelry shop analyzed by portable X-ray fluorescence, golden object found in the same tumuli with hippocampus, and the other two neighbor tumuli analyzed with portable X-ray fluorescence. We didn't change the spectrometer for all these analysis. We used same spectrometer, and we have analyzed with the same spectrometer portable X-ray fluorescence hippocampus that found in Germany, and the result of all this compared with SPSS, and it has been decided if the object found in Germany is our stolen object or not. After we compared hippocampus cache in Germany, Hagen analysis result of orthopedic analysis, and the other object analysis result that coming from same tumuli and neighbor tumuli, we compared analysis result of them, and we made t-test by using SPSS, and according to SPSS result, these two results overlap with each other up to 99%. So we have decided this object, our stolen object, and we requested from German authority, and they sent us. And we have written an article about it, how we can, which strategy we follow to take it back. Non-destructive architectic techniques that called green technology help us to stop forgery and illicit traffic of cultural heritage objects, less more commonly used, and support archaeometry that combat with illicit traffic of cultural heritage properties and protect museum. Thank you very much for your patience and for your joining.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahmut Aydın. This is another part of the museum illicit trafficking. This is the analysis part of the site. Thank you for the archaeometric analysis and sharing with very valuable information. So this is the end of today's meeting. If anyone wants to ask or any suggestion, you can leave your comment in the chat area. I'm checking now.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Bahati.
That was a very informative presentation.
It was a technical presentation mostly.
Yes, figurative things, but very valuable, and it's very easy to understand, I think, for the followers.
Thank you.
Anyone, any question or any suggestion, you can leave it in the chat. ICOM-Turkey seminars and sessions, it's still going on. Tomorrow's session is another valuable presentation, having another presentations. This is the second day, up to the third day, and the fourth day, there are another museum presentations. Please follow it.
I think we can suggest something to Sophie Delipierre. She mentioned object ID checklist. Maybe chemical composition also can add it to this checklist, and their suggestions are very important for all part of the world and all museums. And we can benefit from chemical composition determined with non-destructive, with green technology. Maybe this also can add to next suggestions.
Well, yes, I heard your suggestion, of course, because I was listening. My camera was not open because my connection is not very good, but I was carefully listening, and I heard you propose it. I agree with you that technology, when it's possible, must be used for to determine fakes, for example, which is also a huge part of the illicit trafficking, but also in any duty or daily basis work of the museum. And I think technology can be really, really an asset for many, many countries. Archaeometry, I heard about it a lot before, as 3D, as any other a possibility. Congratulations for the work you are done. The case of the campus I also followed. It was really interesting. Regarding object ID, I agree and disagree in the same times, because object ID is really basic. I mean, for a lot of countries, they are way ahead than that, because it's really how can you measure, how you put a little rules with color is really basic, because in ICOM, which is sometimes really complicated, it's to be able to speak to the countries where unfortunately there is really not a lot of resources, human or financial, to do inventories. So we need to offer something super basic. And we are also to reach countries where are already in a place where technology is easily available. So we have to do this big step like this. So we want to keep object ID as much as possible reachable for every country. And I have to tell you that archaeometry is absolutely not, for now, and unfortunately, accessible to a lot of countries, but I hope that in the following years it will be. But it's now we have really to do this huge step. If I can take the comparison regarding security, for example, and in our recommendation, we said to a lot of countries, please check your alarm system, your intruder system, please careful with your guards, and if they have COVID, make tour differently, this kind of thing.
Yes.
But also we said to other country, okay, if you have nothing at all, no guards, no CCTV, no intruder system, please see with the neighbor if they can be the eyes and the ears of the museum in the night, or if they are listening something or see something, they call the police immediately. So you see, it's super basic to say to the curator, check with the neighbors, with the local communities, because they care about the museum. So see with them if they can be working with you during this strange time. To another country with huge museum and a lot of money, say, yes, careful with the intruder system. So it's exactly the same as speaking about inventories. We have to be able to speak to the person who has nothing, who is alone in a museum, to a museum who is welcoming millions of visitors every year. But to summarize, what I completely agree with you is technology today can be a real asset for museums and for the fight against illicit traffic, for sure.
Thank you for your sharing. In the chat part, Miskat Ullah's note I am sharing, it's need for ours to draft a museum law in Pakistan that cover all museum, archaeological, national history, culture, science and technology, military, folk, etc. This law will also redefine objects like artifacts, natural history specimens, as a note. Uswa Ahmed sharing these notes. I think that the law is present, but preventive strategies and measurements are necessary to curb illicit traffic. Mentioning Quadri, a very informative presentation, Dr. Mahmut Aydın. I wish we can offer a training on this subject. It helps many professionals in identifying the authentic and fake objects, he said. Izakan, I believe Dr. Nadim has given a very practical solution, but it will require careful implementation and intervention. Mentioned here in the chat part of this session. And another one I am checking. Okay, thank you. ICOM could work, Usta Ahmed said, with the custom departments of the respective countries. to develop preventive measures and strategies, as this is a transnational crime. Mention Mr. Ullah. Custom department capacity building is required. On-spot ID need to be addressed through 3D imaging and artifact database development. Said absolutely, Sophie. Training and workshop can be developed with and for the custom department, very valuable and important. Not only the abstract archive, the technical archive is also important for the illicit traffic as an archaeometric studies. For the chemical naming or definition is also necessary for the international or fake subjects Mahmut Aydın shared. Thank you for all speakers. As a last words, I can give a time for the Meliha. You can say something about the session today and tomorrow. Yes, it's your time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Can hear you.
I couldn't open my video. I think I have a problem. Sorry for this. Only my voice. Dear respected speakers of this session and dear moderator, we thank you for your valuable and informative presentations. Thank you again. Today we had, thanks to you, presentations from different platforms, ICOM, UNESCO, Ministry of Culture and Tourism of Turkey, Batman University and Culture Center from Pakistan on illegal trade of cultural objects. And our third webinar of tomorrow will start at 11 a.m. for Turkey, 1 p.m. for Pakistan, and 4 p.m. For Malaysia. The title of tomorrow's session is Preventive Conservations on Collections in Museums. And finally, we hope to come together again in future organizations in different webinars. See you on tomorrow's session. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for all participants, presenters, speakers, guests follow this session. We are waiting another session tomorrow, all the people. Thank you so much. In a pandemic period, I wish healthy and very happy days for all. Thank you so much. In a minute, I close the session. I'm waiting as a householder. I'm waiting. Thank you so much. This is the end of this session. See you tomorrow again.
See you.